We're joined by Zahra Abdullah, author of the cookbook Cooking with Zahra and renowned food blogger. Welcome to the show. Could you describe your cookbook to us? What should readers expect?
So to understand more about the book, I think it's important for me to give you a bit of a background about myself. I'm half Iranian, half Sudanese. I was born in London. I was raised in Vancouver. I've called many cities around the world home, and Dubai has been home for the past nearly 16 years now. This book is basically my recipes, or it's my culinary journey of recipes throughout my life. It's a celebration of polarities, a celebration of Eastern and Western cultures. It's a celebration of traditional and modern recipes. And everything that's in this book represents or has some Middle Eastern flavor or touch to it. So the recipes are a mixture of Iranian recipes, Middle Eastern recipes, and my interpretation of non-traditional recipes, but with Middle Eastern twists.
And can you talk to us about your passion for cooking? How did this start?
So I actually call myself a feeder. My educational background is I studied political science. I have a master's degree in political science. I used to work as a risk analyst at one point. Food was my therapy. Food was my artistry, food is my therapy. Food is my artistry. And I got into the food business because I like to feed people. And that's what's the key driver to why I love doing what I do. And so a lot of the food are recipes that I make when I have my family over or when I host dinner parties. And pre-COVID era was a very common activity in our day-to-day routine. At least every week we'd have people over, and at least once a month we'd have like a nice big social gathering.
Can you tell me more about what that feels like, feeding people?
It's the best feeling in the world. And knowing that through food you can make someone happy, and seeing that expression of joy in their face is really what makes the whole experience happy. And to be honest, I also noticed that my food tastes better when I know someone's excited about eating it. When I know I'm going to cook for someone who I know is going to love and appreciate that experience, then I find that I put a lot more love and effort into the menu. I remember this one time where we had some guests that were supposed to come over, and I just didn't feel their vibe. So I made sure I invited someone who I knew would appreciate what I was doing, and the food turned amazing. Otherwise, I would have had, my mojo was gone for the cooking process.
It's really funny how that works. Going back to your book, it's not just a set of recipes. You've got the history of the food in there, your relationship to it, and many more anecdotes as well. Could you talk to me about the process of putting this book together? How did it come about?
Well, there's many different elements about this book. I mean, I find that, this book represents many things. As an Arab woman, there's always this impression that, or there's this misconception. I don't think it's a current day impression, but there's this impression that, or misconception that you're a girl, you should learn how to cook so you can cook for your family. Food is more than that. Food is more than an obligation. And my purpose is to show that there's joy in cooking, and the joy is in preparing it and feeding people, because it's a form of expressing love. Now, this is not some form of expression of love just directly for one gender. It's actually for everybody, for children, for elders, for younger, for male, female. It's for the whole family to be part of the process. And I find that flavors are memorable. I mean, you, I'm sure, have some of the most incredible memories of maybe your teta or maybe your auntie or your uncle. And a lot of them are childhood-related memories. For me, it's like Friday lunches at my teta's house. All the kids would gather, it'd be chaos, children running around, and we'd all wait to eat a nice meal at lunchtime after Salat al-Dhuhr. So for me, these are memories of Sudan, and I like those memories, and I want my children to have their own variations of memories. And so food is a great way to create really nice memories. They always say that our senses are what causes us to have positive or negative memories. And it's the smell, it's the scent, it's the taste, it's the flavors. So these are things that I like to make sure are part of the memory building tapestry I'm creating for my children.
You've talked to us about putting in your interpretation of certain dishes. Can you talk to me about that aspect of cooking, experimentation, trying new things?
Well, so you know, I was born in London, raised in Vancouver. As a Muslim that associates herself as being both Western and Eastern, we celebrated a lot of Western traditions. One of them being whether it's Thanksgiving or whether it's Christmas, we would make turkey, and we would celebrate it with our own twist. We would make it maybe with nice Arabic spiced rice, or I prepare like a nice traditional baghali polo, which is a Persian recipe. You know, we'd make non-traditional Western recipes with our own flavors. So I like to add lots of Arabic spice flavors to my turkey. I like to incorporate figs and apricots and nuts. So it's about bringing elements from the East and maybe combining it into the West.
What was the most interesting thing you've learned writing this book?
Oh, that's the first time I've ever been asked that question. You know, when I put the recipe book together, it took a while to figure out what was worthy to be written on those pages. You know, you can get a bit hesitant about, is it good enough? Is this something that someone would read or be interested? And what I've learned over the years from experience is that it's really important to be accessible to an audience of different cooking experiences. So what I might think is simple may not be so simple for somebody else. And sometimes even it's those simple recipes that actually are so flavorful and memorable. So it really was a lesson to understand that don't undermine the simple things, because they're actually very profound.
Could you tell us more about simplicity in cooking, the idea of that? Is that something you think about when putting together these recipes?
So I have to be honest, I don't follow recipe books, because sometimes I find them really confusing, complicated, too descriptive. And so for me, I am the biggest user of my cookbook. When you have so many recipes, there's only so much memory you can have of all the step-by-step. So sometimes I'll create something on the go, and then I'll just write it down and I'll stock it as a recipe on the side. One of the biggest compliments I've received from the people who've purchased the book and have used the book is they love how accessible it is, in the sense that how easy the recipe is to follow, how it doesn't use too many ingredients, but the end result is something that's really good. And that for me is the best compliment anyone can give, because I did want to make cooking accessible and not to let people feel intimidated by it. And I know a lot of people can get intimidated by the art, by the process of cooking. And for me, I always say, make mistakes and enjoy it. It's okay to make mistakes. I mean, the first waraq anab and kusa mahshi I made was, I think, 2 months after I had gotten married. And my husband always jokes around. My husband, by the way, does not give a compliment unless it's real. And it took me a long time to appreciate that, because I'd be like, what? What do you mean it's not good? He's like, no. When it's good, I'll let you know. So now I get a lot of positive compliments, but it was a journey to get to this point. But the point is when the compliments come and you know it's genuine, it's so much more enjoyable to receive than when you're getting something that's not. But basically what I want to get to is that no one starts off being a good cook. We all have to make our trial and errors, and we will continue making. I make so many mistakes still, but that's how we learn. And so as long as you become comfortable to accept the errors in the process of learning, then you'll be fine.
You've got a lot of great recipes in this book. Could you share one of your favorite recipes with us?
I have to say it's the saffron chicken with frika. And the reason why I love that recipe is because it's a celebration of not only the polarities of East and West and traditional modernity, but it's also a celebration of cultures. So I'm half Iranian Sudanese. My husband is Palestinian Jordanian. Frika is a traditional grain from the Levant region, which Persians don't typically use or cook in their kitchen. Saffron is a very Persian ingredient, which people in the Levantine region don't necessarily use it commonly. And so what I say is this recipe is the marriage of flavors, as is the marriage of my husband and I. So this is one of my favorite recipes because it celebrates both cultures, both flavors, and it's just an easy one-pot recipe to make.
Thank you, Zahra, for joining us, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
This is Pulse 95.
Hallelujah.